Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Horrific Chat. Tonight, I'm joined once again by Myrna, Steve. Hopefully, will be coming on, weather permitting, Maya Katz, and Magdalena Conway from the award-winning independent film company Acrostar Films. Hi, everyone. How is? Thank you very much for coming on. Great. Oh, did it break on already? Flip. That's a good start to the show here. There we go. We've broken already. In traditional fashion with this podcast, technology just hates us. Are you back with us, Anya?
I am back, and Steve says he's trying
Excellent.
to
That's
connect.
poor Maya Magdalena's like, oh no,
What
I have to
did
talk
you
about
just
everything. We're gonna have to talk to the crazy man. What do we do? Good to have you on again. Maya Magdalena, you haven't been on the show last time with a few different people. Just we were talking about It Came From Somewhere. And last time it was sort of the film was going on happening. You're now in post-production phase, is that right?
It Came From Somewhere is actually released, and it's available on Amazon Prime Video, and it's been submitted to a bunch of other streaming platforms that it's not live on yet. We've gotten some acknowledgement that it will be put on some other platforms, but until they're actually live, we're kind of sitting on that. So yeah, you can get it, and you can also order it on DVD from the acrostarfilms.com website.
All right, fantastic. Flip, sorry, I'd read behind then. I think I need to refresh my pages more.
And then I want to say one other thing about It Came From Somewhere. There will be a sequel.
Cameron and I, we had a laugh. We watched the trailer for it, and especially about the ray guns going pew, and the skeleton jumping up the air. That was it. We just buckled in. That was it. End of podcast. Any sensibility's gone out the window. Like, oh, this is going to be absolute laugh. So, yeah. So once we find the link, I'll add that to the description then, and folks can check it out. It's good to see, because that was one of the questions I was going to ask here. Obviously, people come on board with these films at the start, especially with crowdfunding. We'll have the concept, the idea, and then it's sometimes hard to see the end product or how you actually get the film because it goes out to film festivals and then that's the last you hear of it. Have you guys had that problem or encountered that, or do you work differently?
Well, the way we typically work is rapidly. So Steve, when he gets done filming, he immediately cuts a trailer and does a rough cut of the film and gets it off to composer and sound guy, and then he does some tweaking of the footage, and we try to get it out as soon as we can. And a lot of times we plan a release date for it, a general release date for it, that is, let's say, like roughly 3 months after we complete filming for it, which is really quick in the indie world or in any world. And this is for a feature length film as well, not just for a short. We do some film festival submission, but the ones that we choose do not have the requirement that you cannot have been able to access the film. So some film festivals are very closed. They want to be like the premiere of the film. We tend not to go for those because we don't want that to necessarily control the timing of the release. We figure that people, contributed to the film, the actors and actresses and crew worked hard on it. We want to get it out so people can watch it. So we'll plan a release, like I say, about 3 months after we're done filming, and that is a release. We have like an online viewing party. We typically try to do just like one showing in a movie theater, and then release on physical media or be able to download the film.
All right, fantastic. And I think that's where maybe people get caught up in the idea of awards and peer review and forget about maybe the customer. Is that where maybe a lot of this goes wrong?
Well, yeah, it's really up to each filmmaker, the strategy that they want to take to release. So we do like to get reviews because if nobody has seen the film and there's like no reaction to it, it's easy for us to say, oh, this is a fantastic film, you're going to love it.
You're not going to say, oh, God, I made an absolute stinker there. Stay away from that one.
Don't watch it. So we try to, get, we'll have like what we call a screener version of the film. So we might make that available for some people to watch online. It's not like 100% complete, but it's pretty close because it's hard to watch a rough cut. and when the music's not there and stuff, I mean, you just don't get the emotion that you would, through proper sound and music and stuff. So it's pretty much done when we let screeners look at it, and then ask them to write a review. Maybe on IMDb. That's probably the most common place to put a review. Then once it's on different platforms, usually you can review on that platform as well. So, for example, Amazon Prime Video, you can submit reviews there.
Only if they're nice reviews. They don't like negative reviews. They get very.
A review is a review.
They're a strange company lately.
Yeah, I mean, art is subjective, so it's not going to appeal to everyone. We ask people to give fair reviews, and there are always people who will not write a review, but throw just like 1 star on there, like out of 10, I'm talking. So it's kind of like an intentional, like super negative thing. I don't know if those are other filmmakers. I don't know who they are. I mean, with me, I wouldn't do that to somebody's film. Unless they were like if they spent like a huge budget on it, and then it sucked, then I might go ahead and be straightforward with that. But we just ask for people to give fair reviews of our films.
I don't think Amazon helps sometimes, especially the way they have went lately. It's just they're so afraid of any form of negative. They say it as negative review, any sort of constructive criticism. They're actually shutting down accounts. I don't see the point in that. You'll always get the troll. You'll always get that little pipsqueak that's nothing else going on in their life. But you just gotta, ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
Let them have their 5 minutes of fame. I give it a 1 star. I'm super. I'm gonna take you down, sort of thing. And it's like,
right.
All right, okay, well done, you. Well done. Yeah, you're super.
Yeah.
But I say let them do it, and if they don't give a reason, funny enough, I was talking about this last night. It's more important to give a reason why you like or dislike something, rather than go, I hated that. Oh, that's brilliant. That's not telling anybody.
Right.
But unfortunately, like I said, a lot of big corporations are so terrified of any form of negative press. Everything has to be 5 stars. If it's not 5 stars all the time, every time, they think that their world's falling apart. And it's like, really? When's the last time you actually had to work for money? Try it sometime.
Yeah. And films like It Came From Somewhere. I think the younger demographic is not going to absorb that kind of entertainment the same as an older demographic will, because us older folks, we grew up watching Creature of the Black Lagoon and Plan 9 from Outer Space and all these things. We tried to make it like that on purpose. And if you've never seen that kind of film, you might look at It Came From Somewhere and say, "Oh, this is nonsense." Well, yeah, we know.
Yeah, it's a love letter. It's a homage to that era. Magdalene, you were in that one, weren't you?
I was. Yes.
Yes, you were out. Scroll down earlier on. I'm terrible I have a short memory.
No, you're good. No, I am the teenager who fell in love with one of the aliens.
All right, so intergalactic.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Got to go all the way. No point just sticking with this planet. What was your experience then? When it was explained to you then that this was 1950s style, old style acting, did it affect you anyway? And how you had to give your performance?
I definitely went and started watching a bunch of black and white films. I already really like black and white films, especially like musicals. Like I love On the Town and stuff like that. But it was really fun studying the acting style, since like the acting style is so different than the modern acting style. So that was something I personally had a lot of fun with, is changing my acting style to fit the 1950s style.
Mm-hmm. Did you find it, like I said, it wasn't a challenge, it was a fun experience? Did you get into the hamminess of it and go, let's just have a laugh? It's kind of the only way, really.
Yeah, it was so fun. Like one of my favorite experiences acting.
Fantastic. And there seems to be like a disdain. Maybe it's just the social media lens, but I think older than like 2 years and somebody in their 20s now seems to be like complete anathema. Oh, heaven forbid anything from like the bygone years brought forward. How do you challenge that? Or how do we're all not hateful people. We're just sorry we were born earlier and we had our own stuff going on at the time. What is this disdain for anything older? It's just really, really strange.
Yeah, and we tried to, I mean, just with the description of the film and stuff, convey that it's meant to be like the 1950s. It's not a spoof. Some people think, we did it to spoof that era. That's really not the case. It's more of an homage, like you said. And it's just, if your mind is open, like when I watch entertainment, my mind is open to absorbing what is being presented to me. I try not to hit it with preconceived notions. And sometimes it lands with me and sometimes it doesn't. And again, we expect that with our films as well, but we're trying to create a bunch of different type of content. So to go from something like It Came From Somewhere to Desperate Souls, which Magdalena and Mia are both in.
Yeah, that's definitely coming up next. Andres, that one.
Yeah, it's very different. It's a horror film still, but it's a romance horror film, and so there's a lot more of the plot, the interrelationships between the characters. It is modern, set in current day kind of thing, but there's some horrible things that happen in that film. I mean, the lead woman is a succubus and becomes a demon, and she's got a mean streak in her, that's for sure. So again, just trying to get a lot of different flavors of things out there. And Steve Herman, our writer, creative genius, some of the films we do are based on stories that he's written. So Desperate Souls is an example of that. He wrote a short story and then adapted that to film, to a feature-length film. It Came From Somewhere. He just got as a crazy idea watching Mystery Science Theater 3000 one night. So, again, the content and the ideas, some will suit some people, some will suit others. We hope that overall we're providing a lot of, really good entertainment.
Does that help though, being able to switch gears and like refresh everything? So one minute you're just focusing on 1950s, you're going for sci-fi, horror, you're wanting a bit of fun with it, and then Dark Souls, like people don't really deal with succubus as content. That's one that's not really touched. Most people go for sort of the vampire, go with the easy ones, vampires or zombies. There's Steve in the chat, good to see you on Facebook. Oh, Facebook chat's working, fantastic. That's taken ages. We have had major trouble with Facebook lately. YouTube's been fine, but the other platforms just been like, nah. Good to have you on board. But yeah, is it good to change gears that way and jump from one type of movie and then just completely go into another, like, completely different style theme? Does that keep things refreshed, or is it just to challenge yourself?
I know for me as an actor, I like switching it up. Like, I don't like playing the same types of roles over and over again. I like to challenge myself. Like, I definitely got stuck in a rut being a mean girl all the time. So it's been great with Acrostar Films to do different things. And so I would say, yeah, it does help to switch it up.
Have you been a fan of horror?
Oh, yes. Yeah, horror is my favorite genre.
Is it? I suppose I'll put the same question to Maya as well. Because horror movies, let's be honest, it gets a bad rap. Like, you're almost seen as if you're doing damage to your career. Do you need to be like going to a horror movie? Do you need to be a horror fan first to get over the stereotype and the stigma, or is it just an opportunity? What how do you approach it, or when you were asked?
I've always wanted to be part of a horror movie. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard any stigma against it. I guess if I were to guess what you're talking about, that it's like, I don't know, cheesy or something.
Cheesy, cheap, low rent.
Yeah,
the studios thumb their nose down at horror.
Tattoos than like any other theme. So my family growing up, I've always had a zombie family. Like, we've always watched the zombie movies, the vampire movies, all that good stuff. So like in the movie that's coming up, Attack of the Corn Zombies, I'm going to be a zombie in that. And I'm like so ready for that. I'll be cheesy. I don't care. Like, I got big ass chompers. Like, I'm gonna be a great zombie.
You're just like, do whatever you want. I don't care. I just want to be a mad zombie. And
I just want to enjoy the doing of good work.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that.
No, it just seems to be because that's something as horror creators, be it what I do or films, there is this stigma against horror. And if you're outside the bubble, maybe it's more difficult to say. If you're in the bubble, in the zone, you've got a good friend and support network around you. you maybe don't see it. But people really do look down their noses at this genre, and this is something I'm trying to challenge. It's like, really, there's more thought put into horror movies than a lot of schlock put out there, that's mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, if you just even look at the Oscars or like any mainstream award ceremony, they never acknowledge horror ever. So I definitely see what you're getting at there.
Yeah, and it's uncalled for. That's another reason why people need to get their just get behind independent creators, because that's the way we keep this alive. That's why we bring new ideas in. And especially Steve Mann, I've spoke to him before, and absolutely fantastic people, and you can feel the passion, and that's always going to lead to good content when there's a feeling behind it and a desire to actually create. And the same with you guys, if you're just dialing it in, thinking, "Oh God, well, I'm here, it's a job," not invested, it's going to come across. But have you encountered people outside horror wondering what it's about or why you do it? Have you ever been questioned, why do you act in horror movies?
No, I feel like I mostly run into people who think it's cool that that's the main genre of film I act in. Like,
is it just completely?
Yeah, I've met a lot of actors who are normally like jealous that I get to do so many horror movies.
All right, well, that's a different side of things, because
the
and that's maybe once again the optics that are put out there, especially by the corporates. They try to put this optic out there, and then by having people like yourself on board, at least we can challenge that and say, well, actually, it's the other way around. Are people afraid to come into horror then? Because I'll give an example, like the Hellraiser series. I think it was the fifth one. One of the actors flipped the lid because it was the fifth in the series, and it was a horror movie. Like, oh, what? I'm not doing the first, or nearly walked off set because A, it was a horror movie, but B, it wasn't the first one. And like, there's loads of examples of that with like long running series that, if they don't think they're breaking ground or something, just coming in as part of they're not grateful to be part of the franchise or the continuation.
I mean, I know I would be so excited to be part of a franchise like the Conjuring franchise or Scream. That would be so fun.
Any second that you get to spend on set is such a privilege. I can't even imagine like complaining about being there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'd be like, oh, this is the fifth one, I'm out. Absolutely not. I'd be like, this is the fifth one, great. I have other like stuff to work off of.
Let's go. I mean, so many people would kill to be in your position and be acting in the role that you have. So why be ungrateful?
I don't know. There's a lot of brats. That's why like the mainstream is just awful bratty behavior.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, every time I meet horror creators, it's always the opposite. It's like, I'm having a great time. Like, this is easy with you guys on board because the conversation's great and we just get on with it and have a laugh. And is there an aspect, do you think, then with horror of just not taking yourself too seriously, and that just makes it so much better?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it really, with any role that you accept, I mean, you should know what you're getting into. I mean, I always want to read the script and not just the sides that have my part in it. I really want to know if there's a story there before I agree to be in something. And there are, some of the, I would say, lowest budgeted indie films. As long as the story is not that great, like it's kind of okay. Maybe they're doing it for, the TNA aspect, exploitation type films, that kind of stuff. I personally would never be interested in. Fan films is another thing that, I don't know, but I like a script that I can actually get a story out of. And, I think all of us find in working with Steve Herman with Acrostar Films. I mean, he's a good writer first and foremost. And to me, I wouldn't want to be involved in it if there weren't good stories to be told.
Yeah, I guess that's it. You have to be invested, because that's how do you give your best if you're not invested in what you do? Because we see it all the time with people who aren't invested, and it just comes across, and it's not a good experience for the audience. I'm sure it's not a good experience for the cast and the producers. That it's just if you're not there in the zone or enjoying what you're doing, that's not saying everything's fluffy and roses and all that stuff. It's hard work, but I think you have to be committed, or else why bother? Even if it is about money, there's jobs that you just know you don't take because it's not worth it. Steve, hopefully you're with us, mate, are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Fantastic. I heard you're having a few wee difficulties, so glad you're able to come on. So we're going to start talking about Desperate Souls. Obviously, that's one of your main projects. Where did you get the idea? Because the idea of the succubus isn't really touched upon. It's one of them lesser known fables or creatures that are dealt with. What inspired you?
Well, I wrote a short story, Desperate Souls. I don't even remember how far back. It's 3, 4, 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly. Uh, the
Your
idea.
volume's a bit low there, Steve. I don't know if you can get closer to the mic.
What's that?
Your volume, we're getting a...
Yeah, I'm hang on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Better just talk loud.
yeah. Scream!
Excuse me. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll have to scream a little bit. Yeah, well, your connection's not the best. Sorry about that. So I got the idea for the short story. Kind of off like a little like story I wrote before that. I was going through like a very rough time in my life, and I kind of wrote a couple paragraphs, more than a couple paragraphs, 3, 4 pages, and that kind of turned into Desperate Souls, or about somebody coming in to a person's life who is going through a hard time. And I don't know how I got the succubus idea, but I just brought her in, and from there it turned into the short story and into the film, which I expanded by adding in some horror, and I went from there.
All right, cool. Yeah, because as one, like I said, people mainly go for vampire, zombie, serial killer, slasher. There's a whole plethora of creatures out there that just don't get touched. And you think the succubus would be one that would, first of all, to be the titillation, the sort of enticement, then the seduction, and then the horror that comes afterwards. Um, you would think there'd be more of those type of movies out there, but for some reason, I don't know, people just don't have the imagination to touch it. It's a bit of a strange one. So really interesting to see how this one turns out, because like you got my notice, definitely like, oh, nobody's done one of these in a well, I'm probably count in one hand the number of movies that would actually involve a succubus. That it mightn't even be that. People tend to then go towards vampire. Maybe it's the content that they're afraid to touch.
Right. I mean, you say the word succubus, and what's going to come to mind? Oh, wow, it's going to be nothing but sex and nudity when you come to that. But yeah, there is lovemaking, sex. Well, not lovemaking toned down, but I wanted to give a story more than just like your typical, like you see all the time, slasher guy with a mask. He's got a knife or he's got an axe kind of thing. And I try to build my stories to give it some punch, some emotional depth to it. So it's just not the usual, here he comes. He's got the axe, he's got the knife, he's got a mask, you don't know who it is kind of story. Because I think that's what would draw the audience in, is like Ann said, an actual story to the film.
Yeah, because I think that's what a lot of people forget. Especially when they talk about horror, you need a good story there first. Horror is like the ingredient that gets almost sprinkled over the top. That's what uh, sort of gives it the extra depth. But you need the story there in the first place. You need characters. Um, I think a lot of people miss the mark on that, and it's just a case of, oh right, no, yeah, we'll go to the next kill, go to the next kill. They forget to put the bits in between. What do you think? How do people avoid that trap?
How do you mean? How do people like
So
filmmakers?
when they think of horror, that I don't know, people get hyper focused on the horror aspect and they forget about the storytelling aspect.
Well, I
Where
think a lot of it has to do when you say horror. They're thinking, maybe like a Friday the 13th or Halloween or something like that. A typical slasher movies. I think that's the main thing that comes to people's mind when they think of horror, or like a Chucky or something like that. And I think that's the first thing that comes to people's mind when they hear the word horror. It's a horror movie, okay? Well, now we're just going to see nothing but blood and guts and really not much of a plot.
Yeah, like the pop, once again, that's back to the mainstream. That's the optics. That's what's put out there. And obviously, as we're all about here, it's about challenging people. Um, without being snobby about it, are you really a horror fan if that's all you watch? If you're just, if you're just watching the popular stuff and you don't really delve into anything else, do you really understand what the horror genre is about and maybe not get the complexity that is actually in this genre of creation? Because there's so much depth, there's many areas you can go. You have done it in the space of 3 movies that we're going to talk about, like completely cross different genres and styles. Um, Even though it's the same team, like you've completely different feels and uh, aspects of the movie, and people just have to check out the trailers to see that each one has its own flavor. Do people maybe not appreciate that about horror? And if so, how can we get people on board? How can we, I don't want to say educate them, it sounds really pretentious and snobby, but how do we make people aware that there's so much more to the genre than just your typical slasher?
Well, definitely, yeah. Like I said before, it's you gotta have a good story to go along with everything else, like the blood and the gore. You gotta have a good story to go along with it to keep the audience captivated. I, for me, I want to write characters that people care about, so when they do die, it hits them. It's not some mindless people running around waiting to get killed.
Oh, absolutely. That's always been my biggest bugbear. The disposable character. Um, the meat bag just waiting to see what happens to them. That's actually where I zone out, and I watch an absolute plethora of horror movies. No, when you have investment in the character, then when their death, if their death comes, obviously, because there always has to be that, well, they won't die. You don't want to be formulaic, but yeah, you have to get that gut punch of, oh, I'm hoping they're going to survive. I kind of like them, you know. Um, and I don't know why don't people get more exposed to this? Is this down to the mainstream and social media? Like I said, thumbing their noses down a horror. Is that why people don't get the see these films? And I think they're missing out. Obviously, that's why I'm trying to do what I do to promote you. Um, how do we challenge that thought process? How do we like disrupt those optics, so to speak? And just spit that out to everybody if you've got ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just getting people exposed to the fact that there are like many different types of horror movies, and maybe everybody doesn't like every type of horror movies. But like Steve said, I mean, like the slashers, that tends to be what I think comes to front of mind when people just hear the term horror movie. Also, like, well, how many minutes do I have to wait for the first kill type of thing? And I think a lot of that is from the franchises that have come out. They try to one up themselves all the time, more kills, sooner kills, all that kind of stuff, and that kind of feeds the general public perception of it. I think if you again expose yourself to a variety of things, then you're going to see that there's more to it than that.
Mm-hmm. But how do we convince people? Obviously, we're preaching the converted here. We're on board, obviously, but how do we get the person from outside who has this perception? How do we challenge them? How do we reel them in, so to speak? Because we can say, watch this movie till the cows come home, and they're going, no, it's a horror movie. Oh, it's just going to be people getting chopped up. What can we do?
Like I went to lunch the other day with my daughter and a friend of hers and the friend's mom, and I happened to have a DVD of it, came from somewhere in my purse that I was going to give them and say, well, you guys should check out my movie. And I had it came from somewhere shirt on is part of my
just missing the billboard.
I just happened to be wearing it. And as I sat down, she looked at the shirt and she's like, oh, that's one of those horror movies, right? And I said, yeah. And she's like, I just can't get into that stuff. And then I thought to myself, the last movie she told me she watched was on the Hallmark Channel. So what was I thinking? Like I would have had to do like an exorcism on her to get her to watch It Came From Somewhere, which is not like people die, but I don't even think of it as people dying because it's so silly. And, so, I thought she'd appreciate the time factor and, it was an old school movie and stuff. And yeah, she's a little younger than me, but it was just an epic fail all around.
So that's kind of the extreme, you'll never reach that person. That's it. That's
Right.
just too much out of their comfort zone. But like I've invited people on the show who traditionally aren't horror fans, and I've started off with obviously comedy horror. That's always a good one to sort of bring people in, and then they're commenting on other movies that I've watched, and actually having a genuine interest. But what about Magdalene and Maya as actors? Obviously, I take it you don't just act in horror; you do other roles as well. Magdalene, you were mentioning about being the mean girl. Have you encountered having the conversation in maybe other sets or productions about horror and facing that stereotype about what it is?
I personally haven't had to have that conversation with anybody because I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by family, friends, and coworkers who all understand that it's just about being creative and doing good work and having fun and being grateful for the opportunity that's presented to you. So I personally haven't had any experience with like haters.
I'm talking haters. I mean, haters are haters.
Like horror
I'm talking about the person on the fence, right? Or has horror is a slasher and that's it. And I'm really what I'm talking about is how to, oh, you've never tried this before. Come on board, come on the journey, so to speak. It's not that, extreme side of things. There's so many people here out there that could enjoy horror but don't. And it's because of the message out there. I'm just wondering, in the course of, professional dealings, have you had the opportunity to have that conversation and just maybe sway somebody that maybe hadn't been swayed before?
I mean, in a set setting, no, I haven't encountered people like that. But there's been like a couple family members, since I do quite a few horror movies as well. There's been family members who are like, oh, well, that's not like really my thing, but they're like, I'm glad you're doing it, but horror still isn't really their thing. But with It Came From Somewhere, I think it was over Thanksgiving. I forced like my whole family to sit down and watch it. I was like, okay,
was it like Clockwork Orange, all tied up in the flip of the eyebrow? Like, oh,
no,
you will watch this.
But like, since I knew It Came From Somewhere isn't your normal horror movie, I knew there was something in there for everybody to enjoy. So I was like, this is the perfect like film of mine for my entire family to enjoy, and they did enjoy it. So I think it's just exposing people to it who otherwise wouldn't be exposed to it. Sometimes you just got to force them like I did, I guess.
It's easy bait to get them to sit down and watch it when you're like, well, I'm in it.
Well, I'm in it, yeah.
Why would you not want to watch it? Do you hate me that much? Is that what you're saying? Huh? Lay on the
you
guilt,
think I'm ugly and not talented. I get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Guilt works. I'm all for that there. No, but that's just what I'm trying to find. It's not the hater's always going to hate that. They're always, that's it. They're in their zone. They're never going to leave it. But like I said, there's so many people out there that could be enjoying horror, I think, and they're missing out. And it's just obviously they don't have to go to torture porn. You don't have to go like straight to the end of the spectrum. You can start off easy, and then people find their comfort zone and what they enjoy. Do you think people get surprised by, like I said, the plethora of like subgenres and beats and themes that the horror genre as a whole can hold? People expect one-dimensional, but anyone that maybe comes in new, is it overwhelming or surprising? What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's kind of like refreshing that there's a lot of different styles. That even if you think like, monster films, I mean, there's so many different kinds of monsters, like you just never know exactly what it's going to be until you sit down and watch the darn thing. So, I think it's cool that there's such variety.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it's just endless. Yeah, like you said, monster ones. Underwater horror is something I feel like is like so specific, but I like a lot. Like
Oh, like
the
60
Meg.
meters down, all that kind of stuff. The
Yes,
deep and yeah.
yeah. Like there's just so many different areas of horror to explore other than just gore. Um, and that's definitely what I try and tell people. And like I myself try and watch a variety of horror movies.
Yeah, it's good to do. Yeah, because it's so easy to get the little bubble and then never come out of it, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're missing out for a start. But then if you get your bubble burst, it can be quite upsetting. It's like, oh, what? Everything I believe's all wrong.
Well, I
Um,
think there's so many different types of horror. Psychological. I mean, you look back at Psycho. There's no blood in that, but yet the effective horror movie.
yeah, that's it. It's just, all different. That's one thing I've noticed about you guys is definitely is that like you don't have one theme, and every movie. You know, you can almost go, "Oh, here's an Acrostar film, beat for beat for beat." That's something really refreshing, which obviously makes I'm sure it makes your job more pleasant. That you're not just stuck in a rut. Oh, here's my wheelhouse. I've got to stay in it. You know, gives you a chance to challenge, but also for the audience, at least they know they can come over here and have a variety of things. That's good. Talking of which, your latest one that you're prone Attack of the Corn Zombies. Is there still legs in the zombie genre? Because, like, especially over recent years, almost feels as if it's been done to death by the mainstream. How do you bring something new to the table with a genre it's just being like put out there constantly?
Yeah, well, I've always wanted to do a zombie movie, and I wanted to do one before, but I knew, like you said, it was oversaturated, and there was just so many of them coming out. And nowadays, what do you see now? I figure now's the best time because all you see are animals up on crack or cocaine or something like that. That's new. That's the new fad,
Yeah, say not cocaine
right?
bar, cocaine shark, cocaine eagle, cocaine snail.
Yeah, so we're hoping the timing is good for a zombie movie, which so ours we're going to film in May and then we should release before the end of the year.
Are you making them look like zombies? Because I only seen the teaser, obviously, and it doesn't really give much away. Because one of my complaints has been about this homogenation of the zombie, the vampire. They all look the same. They're all a virus. You know what I mean? It's all the infected. It's all, you can't tell the difference anymore between a vampire or a zombie. They're alive, but they're just affected and be cured. It's not the undead anymore. What approach are you taking with this one?
Well, we've actually talked about, we have a chat for the cast and crew, and we've talked about the different stages of zombieism and what the looks should be for this film. And one thing we didn't want to give away in the trailer was who turns and who doesn't.
Yeah, obviously that's one of the main plot points.
So, so what we've got out there on our Indiegogo campaign now is intentionally vague, but just kind of shows that, like we have SFX artists on, in our group that know how to make a cool zombie look. But yeah, there will be, so there'll be people will be in different stages of infection throughout. We're going to mostly have slow moving zombies, but we were all told today that there will be some fast moving ones as well, which will not be me.
That wouldn't be me either. I'm a safe lad.
I think we need a fast moving cameraman to go with those fast moving zombies. So we'll be talking about it some more, I'm sure.
Get on the track, get a good push start to get going.
Just push it and let it go.
Grocery cart with the camera on top.
It's a hard one because, like I said, everyone's focused on this zombie genre. Just pump them out, and if they mix them up with the vampires, and vampires don't worry about sunlight anymore, and they've taken away the supernatural aspect. Are you planning to keep the supernatural aspect in, or are you going with the route of virus? I know it's sort of vaguely mentioned on the thing, but is that just people's understanding that it's a virus? And are you going to maybe play with the supernatural aspect?
I have to leave that to Steve to answer.
No, there's no supernatural. It's flatline, simple story. People eat some infected corn, and they become zombies.
So it's the story of the corn then, is the
Yeah, it's the
possibly
corn.
the spooky aspect?
Yeah, there's no supernatural. It's right from the corn.
All right, cool. That's good to know. Please tell me you're not using digital blood.
Oh, never, ever do we use. It's all practical.
I told the director off a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Your practical effects are brilliant. What are you using digital blood for? Stop it.
Honestly,
That's cheating. We don't cheat.
the hardest part of filming Desperate Souls, I only had like 2 or 3 scenes, and then one of them involved like buckets of blood being dumped over my face and in my mouth. And so there's the scene, spoiler alert, where I die. And as I don't know, I don't want to give it away, but I'd have a bunch of blood in my mouth. And I also had like a big ass prosthetic in my mouth. And so I had it in my mouth, and she dumped the blood in there, and they were about to start rolling, and I would be like, okay, guys, because I was like, I'm going to throw up if we don't start rolling right now. It didn't taste bad, so that was good. But oh my God, there's so much of it. I was like about to gag.
Put a few saccharins on it just to take off the edge.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but believe it or not, actually hearing those stories and the trials and tribulations behind camera, that's what brings the story to life as much as the actual feature. The problem is when people are like just in front of a green screen and just soullessly looking at a rubber ball or whatever, and then it's all done afterwards, you don't hear any of that. And that's one thing that the horror still can bring to the table. When we hear these stories, oh God, yeah, and I had to do this for the scene, and what you had to put up with, and the fact that you soldiered through it, gives more of a respect for your performance. But once they start bringing digital stuff in and not doing it, it's okay as a to tidy up things and just to enhance, but solely relying on it just, I think, destroyed the magic of movie making. And that's, I think, more people are now going backwards in what they want to watch. They want to see more old school. That's why there's a homage to the 80s, because people want that, physical media time, the time when people actually hung out together and didn't just shout at each other over forums. There is a yearning for that. Are you in a position to bring that back to people?
Oh, what was that? I didn't hear that. Sorry.
I'm just saying there's a yearning. You can see it now because everyone's wanting 80s themed movies. They want, they want to go back to the bygone era that we obviously lived through of, physical media, practical effects, people actually, being together in person as opposed to just digitally. Are you in a position now to maybe reignite that, imagination, people, and bring it to the screen? Just even if it's using practical effects and old school filming and going back and showing that, is that a good opportunity?
Well, definitely. I mean, practical effects gives the actors something to act with. Now, like Mia said, if she didn't have anything in her mouth, the blood in her mouth, I mean, I don't think it would have been as good. But she actually had it in her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Put water in there and like change the color in post, but that wouldn't have given it the same effect for her as an actress to have it all over her face, in her mouth. I mean, am I right, Mia? I mean, would have had the same effect for you?
I mean, yeah, totally. With the stuff that we had to do, it was already so far out of my personal comfort zone and out of the realm of anything that I've done before that I was like, how do I even make this seem real at all? Like, what happens when this happens to someone?
Mm-hmm.
So I just chose to kind of go the route that it was so traumatic, I basically completely dissociated. And I was like, okay, that's a way that like seems kind of realistic. Oh my God, my computer's about to restart. Don't do it. That it seemed like realistic enough in a traumatic situation, but also in a way that I wouldn't have to just keep like thrashing and screaming for like 5 minutes straight until my character just bleeds to death, you know? So yeah, the blood in the mouth definitely helped. And it was honestly a little cathartic to just have it dribble out of my mouth like a baby in applesauce. I was like, it's kind of nice to just not have anyone judge me for drooling all over
Just
myself.
let go and be like, yep. Yeah, I think that's what, like I said, there's definitely a yearning for that sort of physicality that people are missing out on. And horror can definitely bring it to the table. And yeah, and if you can enjoy the experience of creating it as well, then obviously that will always come across on camera. I've quite keen now, noticing that when somebody's just not in the zone or not enjoying their performance, you can see it straight away that they're just crunching the numbers and dialing it in. That's why I always find myself being very forgiving. I know people slag off independent movies and that, but you don't have the billions to make it super crisp and clean. And the fact that a movie comes out at all, when you're relying on people's goodwill to help you get there, is a fantastic achievement. So I'm always on board. I'll always give it a fair crack. So if something's not, like I said, if I feel it's just not dialed in, just dialed in or not, no heart behind it, I'll always say it. But I just think people need to take more of a chance, I think, with independent movies. What do you think it is they're afraid of? Like, people can spend hours on their phone flipping through random videos that are just somebody talking into a camera, but for some reason they don't want to invest even in their time to watch an independent movie. They shy away from them. What is that fear about?
Some kind of superiority complex, maybe.
You think so? It's just, oh right, this is beneath me. I'm not going to waste my time watching it. But they'll watch TikTokers dancing,
It's one of those things that in this day and age when we have instant gratification for everything, like TikTok is constantly keeping our brains active.
Yeah, I think it's also like an attention span thing.
Right. The idea of sitting down and watching a full-length movie is just like not even worth it to some people. They feel like they're going to get bored or they even try to put it on, but they're not paying attention because they need something else. And I'm totally like that too.
Yeah.
I get it. But they don't want to put it on because they just feel like it's not worth the investment. But then they'll go and watch, 4 hours of 10-minute YouTube clips or something because it's the constant switch up that keeps them interested.
That's a strange one. It's definitely because if you're going to create anything, you need to put effort in. You need to have an attention span. You need to know that you've got a couple of hours of hard slog. Like, I'm sure you know. I don't need to tell you. It's creating a movie. Like, that was one of the first things that started the conversation before we went live. Was about people don't have an appreciation how long it takes to create a movie, and maybe what also puts people off getting on board is, okay, they'll invest at the beginning, but they're not getting that instant gratification of it coming out next week. And they don't understand it's going to be maybe a year down the line. I know you say, obviously, and I've seen it myself here, you guys do move at a swift pace, but even then, that's not click and collect. How do we bring people around? Because it's, sorry, Anne, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just really boring for our fans when we're in post-production because it takes a while and it's a lot of very detailed work and we can't rush it, although we move at a pretty good pace. And we don't want to show too much because we don't want to give away things. And the movie is so much more impactful. Like even one scene is so much more impactful if you've got it fully edited, color corrected, sound and music done for that segment. I mean, just to look at raw footage. And we even tried, like with Desperate Souls, once the theme song was composed, we said, well, let's put that out and let's let people react to that. And when I hear it, I envision what we shot. But everybody didn't get to see all of that. And so they're just, like looking at a still screen, listening to a piece of music and going, oh yeah, whatever. I mean, it's fantastic music and it's so going to move the film forward. But I don't think people have the appreciation for all of those little pieces that make the entire film.
Yeah, but the question is, how do we bring people around? Because I'm just seeing and I don't think it's you young kids have no idea. But there's a need to have focus in the world, in daily life, and if you want to succeed or build something, you need to have that. Um, I'm kind of worried that nobody's going to pick up the torch to carry on because of this. Oh, if it's more than a minute, I can't be bothered, and that's like endemic across society. It's worldwide. It's not just like country bases or anything like that. It's worldwide that people now just have no attention span. That don't understand that you need to put a bit of work in to get something back out. How can through art and media, how can we change that perspective? Because it's almost as guilty, especially the mainstream. Oh yeah, everything's instant gratification. Oh, you can be an Instagram model. You can get to the top of the tree immediately. All you have to do is get clicks and likes. It's almost promised, but without mentioning how much graft actually has to go in to succeed. How can we turn that around? Because I think we need to. If society is going to go ahead, we need to get this mindset going, and we need to get back to putting effort in, perfecting your craft, whatever it may be, whatever your choice in life is you want to do. And if people stop understanding that, we're in serious trouble. Any thoughts on what we can do?
I mean, I think art just needs to continue to do unexpected things. Like, I know I'm more likely to watch a movie if I've heard it's pushing boundaries or like doing something that's never been done in a film before. So I think if everybody, like you've said before, horror continues to just mainstream horror continues to follow a certain recipe. But I think if everybody is doing something different, then it's a whole lot easier for people to pay attention, because you have to pay attention because it's not the same thing over and over again.
All right, cool. Yeah, because it's we definitely need to bring people on board. And you can't do everything in under 30 seconds. That's just the reality. And everyone looks at the hyper successful and think that's it, but they forget about the thousands of people that bet all and then don't understand why they're not getting anywhere, and then they get frustrated, and then angry, then that all comes out in negativity, and actual real world negativity as opposed to fantasy, which once again horror fans and horror creators get a bad rap for. What we explore in fantasy is other people's reality because they're not fulfilled. Have you ever encountered people like that, or been able to explain to them how actually exploring the dark side of things is more catharsis and actually gives you more balanced character than shying away from it completely?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like my friend who watches the Hallmark movies, I don't think that particular person is necessarily open-minded enough to explore something that's so different like horror. And it's everybody's personal choice, what they want to go with.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not about coercion, obviously.
Yeah.
It's about how do we bring people on board, and there's 5 of us in this chat, and we're all 5 completely different people. You couldn't put us all in the box and go, oh, there's a bunch of horror people. Let's be honest, and that's challenging. I think the stereotype in itself, because there's nothing worse than the generic user that, okay, must dress like this, must wear this, must have this. That's what you must be to be a horror fan, which another thing that drives me up the wall because that puts people off, actual fans. And most of the end type of people parrot the stuff anyway and don't put their hand in their pocket.
Yeah, I think it's just to encourage open-mindedness, I guess. Accept people for who they are, accept, people's art for what it is. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. At least you've been exposed to it.
At least you've tried. That's the thing. I think we need more of that in the world. At least give it a go. And I was saying this actually last night in a stream. If you don't like something, say why. Rather than this blanket statement, oh shit. And that's it. Okay, why? Oh shit, who'd you say so? And if you liked it, you're a dick.
Right.
I'm reporting you. That nonsense is just pathetic. I think it's important to know why you don't like things as much as why you do. A lot of people like stuff and don't even know why either. Why they enjoy something, they just, because I do. Do we need a bit more deeper thought with folks? Is that the problem? People don't look inside enough? Oh, did I break my arm?
Yeah, she had to go to work.
All right, no problem. Well, obviously, Maya, if you watch back after the fact, thanks very much for coming on. Really, really great to have you, and your thoughts too. You know, it's good to get different perspectives, not just from creative, but in each aspect of the creative process. You know, from acting and from creating, from the initial writing. It's good to get that thought because it might inspire someone else who maybe never thought about trying it.
Mm.
And I always say we need more creators, not less. You know, that's the only way we get the raise the bar is to have more people giving input rather than just a small hegemony of people that control everything. That's why we're in the state we're in.
Yeah, and I mean, a big part of my message is it's not too late to start to do something creative. I mean, I at the age of 58 said, I think I want to do something creative. I hadn't done anything creative since high school, pretty much, and so decided I wanted to get into acting and then filmmaking and stuff. So, give it a shot.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, right, sorry, so messy there. Cool. Yeah. So the other thing I was just going to ask you, like having a number of projects on the go at the same time and having that sort of tight time scale that you've set yourselves, how do you keep things flowing? How do you not get overwhelmed or not lose focus on, creating a quality product? How do you keep all those plates spinning?
Well,
Well,
for
I
me, I
mean-
always like to keep busy because if I like stop or slow down, then I'm afraid I'd start to lose interest in filmmaking. So my brain is constantly moving at 150 miles an hour. I mean, I've always got stories popping up in my head that I want to do right now, but I can't. But yeah, I got to stay busy, or I'll just slide off and just become a bum and not want to do anything. So I just keep going.
Yeah, so you need that constant work. You need to switch up. You need to have the plate spinning, or else that's it. That's where other people can only focus on one thing at a time. But for you, that would be the opposite. That would actually ruin your creativity. Is that what you're trying to say, Steve?
Oh, right. I mean, I want to try to put fresh ideas out there. So, and that's why, like I said, my brain just never stops. It just keeps going. I mean, I could wake up in the middle of the night and go, hey, I got an idea for a movie. And
That's it, straight into it.
And I just want to keep it different. And it's true what they say, creative minds never sleep. So, yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah. Fantastic, yeah, because it's definitely see it with the amount of stuff you're putting out, you just non-stop. One thing I noticed that Anne brought up earlier about the music videos, was it a conscious decision to create music videos, or was it just purely for the production and the fact that you made a video out of it itself? Was that just a happy coincidence, or something you wanted to explore as well?
Well, for my first short film, In the Dark, Tatum Shoesmith had the idea of a song, and it popped in my head going, why don't we make a music video out of it? So, yeah, that's a good idea. And we went ahead and filmed it, and then she wrote another song and asked if I could film a music video for her. And it's like, well, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And we filmed that one. It never really came to my mind about actually doing it full time. So it was just a nice little change of pace. And it was different. I enjoyed it. But it wasn't something I thought about going into full time.
All right, just another avenue to explore.
Right.
All right, cool. Because it's completely different mediums creating a music video than an actual full story. Like you've so short a time to try and get an idea across. Was that a challenge?
Oh, yeah. To me, making a music video is a lot more. To me, it's harder than making a film because you only have like 2.5 minutes to try to tell a story instead of an hour and a half. And that's very difficult.
Yeah, so completely different challenge then, and then
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. You can at least, when you go back to your film, at least you can, well, I've got loads of time now, and
Right.
a whole 90 minutes to fill, that's nothing.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
So I suppose not keep you too long. Obviously, I know you've got things to do, and I appreciate you coming on so early as well, in the middle of the afternoon to spend time with me. So what's next in the horizon? Obviously, you've got your current projects, and they're a production, but I guess that doesn't stop. I mean, that's not the end of it. What's next down the pipeline for Acrostar?
After Attack of the Clones, geez.
Attack of the Clone Zombies.
Got Star Wars on my mind.
Yeah, let's not talk about that franchise. God.
After that, after Attack of the Clone Zombies, we will be doing the sequel to It Came From Somewhere.
Is it going to stay in the 50s theme, or are you going to move it along a bit?
It's going to stay in the 50s.
Please tell me you're not going to do like an Independence Day 2 type thing.
What's that?
Please tell me you're not going to do like an Independence Day 2 type scenario where it just falls off a cliff. Oh God, I remember that first movie was fun, and then that second one was just like, oh my, it was set like, what was it, 20 years later? It was like in the teams, you're like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah. I couldn't make it halfway through that movie before I turned it off.
I was gone. I was just like, I can't even remember it now. Just remember it being an awful experience. Just like, oh, what the hell did I watch? And there you go, folks. The mainstream isn't what comes out of the Hollywood studios can be absolutely tripe. Why not throw a few bucks to independent creators? Who actually do everything. Just get involved in the whole process. They don't have departments to do this kind of stuff. Steve and Anne are involved in everything, even the music, creating the music video for it. They're involved in every aspect. Magdalene, I'm sure you don't just come in as an actress, swan in and do your lines. I'm sure you're involved too, isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think you have the luxury of just like, oh, well, I'll be a material until.
Well, I think what's cool about me and Acrostar is I've been in almost every single Acrostar film at this point. So it's something I definitely support a whole lot.
And you're very helpful with promotion for films. Yeah. We ask our actors, if they have an idea for how to promote the film on TikTok, whatever, go for it.
Yeah, it's hands-on. It's not just like I said, it's with you guys. There's a hands-on aspect. You join a team, you join a family, and you're all there to make the thing a success. Mm-hmm. Even if your part in it is over, you have to have that investment, like I said, because you have to work almost twice as hard, if not more, to get half the returns, which is an absolute shame. And that's what I'm here for today, to try and help in my little way to get the word out there. To obviously we've got the links in the description. Go on the website. See all the projects are like really busy, locking on. Look for something that tickles your fancy. It's not just the one-stop shop. There's a whole plethora and like 6-7 movies I've noticed. Each one's been different, so there's something there to resonate with you. Give it a go. Anything you want to finish up with, guys? Just to, obviously, do you want to tell you what? Pick a different movie each that you want people to watch. Do you want to start on?
I'm going to say I want people to watch Desperate Souls, although you can't watch it yet. But it's just different. I mean, it's going to be unexpected. Everything, I love everything about it. I love the cinematography, the lighting was superb. We had some extra support for the intimacy scenes. With somebody who specializes in that, so that everything looks real. The characters are very likable. Even the succubus, the demon lady, and she's got some likable aspects to her. It's like you can kind of relate, sometimes with even an evil character in terms of what their motivations are and why they are the way they are. But that would be my vote. And so you can learn more about that one at DesperateSoulsMovie.com.
Perfect. Steve, what do you want people to go and see?
Jeez.
Choose your favorite child right now. No pressure.
Boy, I would say Desperate Souls, but it's not out yet. So
No, you have to pick something different.
give me. I would take.
Everyone has to go and watch Desperate Souls, but they also have to go and watch.
I would say It Came From Somewhere because that was so fun to make. As a whole, it was just a blast to make that movie. So I would say It Came From Somewhere. And
Actually, yeah, that one looks like a lot of fun too. Love the trailer. I'm going to go search Amazon after we've done this because we've got my Desperate Souls Blu-ray in the post when it's ready. I've already ordered that one, so it's looking forward to. Okay, last but not least, and no pressure at all, Magdalena.
Oh man.
Tell us a movie that you've starred in that you want people to go and see.
Okay.
Seeing its entire catalog.
They chose the two that I could say. I'm gonna say Trepidity.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I'll say Trepidity because that one I froze my ass off at the very end there. So for that alone,
who picks that sort of bar? Yeah, let's go party in a barn.
It wasn't my character, I can tell you that much.
Demons aside, right? Never mind old witches coming back. Not spoiling the end, but that's kind of in the title. That's what they awaken. But how can you say friends when somebody goes, "Here, I've got a great idea for a party," and it's a barn?
Yeah.
Like the horror movie at the beginning should have been that I can't remember her name, but that character just getting strung up.
Yeah.
Maybe that could have been the first 5 minutes. You what?
Yeah, I'll say Trepidity just for the fact that I think that was just such a bonding experience for everyone based off of like how cold the barn was, and then we had like a ghost slamming the barn door. Yeah, that one just has a bunch of fun behind the scenes stories, so it has a special place in my heart.
Excellent.
That's a good
lot of fun.
Magdalena's right. That was really the birth of our family right there with that.
Yes.
Film.
And sometimes that's what that's what I'm talking about, the experience, which we don't hear anymore. Like I said, when people are just off the conveyor belt and there's no heart or soul or, dare I say, struggle in creating something, that's, people miss out that's part of the reward is the struggle to get through and actually see a product at the end. Well, I'll just want to just say thanks very much for coming on again. As always, you're more than welcome. It's great to have you on the channel. Thanks for talking about. I'm looking forward to I'm invested myself in seeing some of these movies that I haven't already. It's had a lot of fun, and obviously once they do become available, I'll review them as well. And I will be honest. But yeah, definitely looking forward, folks. Please check these guys out. A lot of fun, a lot of different movies, things for everybody's palate. It's not just a one-stop shop. And of course, keep up to date with the channel because we'll definitely have these guys back on again as well as others. We love talking to creators, and we've plenty going on for this month. April's quite busy, so keep up to date with the channel, do the typey clicky things, and until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.